I guarantee you, I start asking, more toilet questions, get some more toilet humor in here, and we're certainly going to go from 66 to at least, 57th? We could easily be the 57th best charted podcast on iTunes if I'm bringing out toilet humor, in my humble opinion. The beer tastes better when you're winning, but damn does it taste good when you're losing too. Holy cow. Welcome to a brand new episode. This is Laugh With Me, a podcast with Jeremy Odom. I'm your host, J.O. Ladies and gentlemen, we did it. We are charting on the iTunes podcast comedy charts. Thank you. Thank you very much. Holy cow. It's been an incredible 24 hours since I found out that we started charting. It turns out, let's see, we've been charting for about 5 days now, and we've peaked at 66, which, hey, that's pretty good. Yeah, thank you. Thank you. So for those of you that don't know what I'm talking about, iTunes, the largest podcast carrier in the world, they, have the charts. They have the rankings of all the podcasts, and we've cracked that top 100 in the comedy stand-up podcast category. And to give you an idea of who's at the top, I mean, these are names you've heard of, okay? This is Bad Friends, Andrew Santino and Bobby Lee, very popular podcast. That's Kill Tony is number 2. Dan Soder's podcast, appropriately titled Soder, is at number 3, and so on. We've got Netflix is a daily joke, so they do daily podcasts apparently. Comedian Lewis Black. I mean, the list just goes on and on. On and on. I can name them all and just go all the way down to 66, and then that's us. I mean, unless you look at it right now, it's the 18th, 19th right now, and we're currently sitting at 73, so we've dropped the spot. It's kind of my new favorite hobby is to watch the charts and see the ebbs and the flows. It's a lot of fun. Thank you for everybody for listening, especially those that were listening on Apple. I didn't know we had an audience on iTunes. I thought a lot of our audience was on Spotify because that's what I've been promoting the most and pushing the most. And here we are. We got a little bit of a following going on iTunes. I appreciate y'all, and thank you so much for listening. Spread the word, because the new goal here, we've set the tone. We're gonna climb these charts. 66. That's fun. I'll tell you what. I very much enjoyed 66. It's better than if you flip it being 99, which would still be top 100. I probably would still be having this very same conversation with you all. But 66, man, pretty excited about that. So thank you for listening, and thank you, Johnny, for all of the hard work that you put in. Yeah, that was a joke, because you don't put any hard work into this thing. Yeah. You ever have folks on your team, at work, that they call in a whole lot, and then the one time they do show up, they're like frustrated by other people's, either not pulling their weight or maybe someone else called in. I love just giving a slow stare towards that person and being like, where were you last Thursday? We could have used you. Those are always the first people to chime in with a complaint. And Johnny, he's one of those folks, but we love you. Sometimes you just have people that have been around you for so long, you just have to find a role for them. Johnny's my guy. Johnny's definitely the guy that we're gonna have a role for. Yeah, that wasn't a joke. You did not have to play that drop. But back to the iTunes charts. We we are charting 66. And we're not done. It's actually looking at the, shows that are around us as we were sitting at that 66. There's some heavy hitters that we're hanging in the contention with, There's this show called The Becky and Cam Hotline with, I'm going to assume comics Becky, Lucas, and Cameron James. I bet they take calls, and they probably answer them. Sounds like it anyway, based on the title. Down on the Docks with Chris Neff. I think they talk about documentaries. The logo has a camera on it, so I'll bet that's what they do. R.P. Smith, Cowboy Poet. I bet it's a cowboy that reads poetry, which is exciting. We're in that area. We're rolling with the cowboy poets and the documentarians. That's the world I'm living in. But, if we keep climbing, though, then we can get in, with the Buff Boys. Joe Gorman, his podcast, The Buff Boys. Maybe I'll hit the gym. I don't know. Beauty and the Bee with Jen Sternger and B. Gutierrez. Okay, B. Her name's B. All right, that's why. So it's a girl and then there's someone named B. All right, the name makes sense. That's pretty cool. Nick Allen, Omaha comic. Next window, please. We're living in his world. That's exciting. We need to take him out. I think that makes us, I've been, declaring we're the number one podcast that broadcasts out of Gretna, Nebraska with a red-haired host. I think officially we could say that we're the number 2 comedy podcast in all the state of Nebraska because we're right behind Nick Allen currently. And you know what? And some days we're ahead of him. So some days we're number 1. That's damn exciting. Man. Whole new world when you start getting on these charts. That's kind of fun. Well, we're gonna track it. I think that's gonna be a weekly update, not a whole episode. But it's gonna be a weekly update, maybe at the end of the episode, where we check the charts. And if we don't make the charts, I think it's appropriate that we ask ourselves why. What are we doing that's not good enough for the listener? You know what? I think that kind of thing. I think that's healthy. So. We're certainly going to start that in the show. That's very exciting. This week's episode of the Laugh With Me podcast with Jeremy Odom is brought to you by Deal or No Deal Island, the brand new show on NBC. It's like nothing you've ever seen before. Take the show that you have seen before, Deal or No Deal, then take a show you have seen before, Survivor, totally different network, different idea, and they'll never admit that they stole the idea. You combine them, and you get Deal or No Deal Island. Yeah, there's briefcases, there's a banker. They actually do play the Deal or No Deal game in a miniature, very fast version at the end of every episode, so look forward to that. Otherwise, it's basically Survivor and Boston Rob of Survivor fame. He's been in like 3 seasons. He's in it. He's competing. Great show. I've enjoyed it. You can also find it streaming on Peacock. New episodes every Monday night on NBC. It's Deal or No Deal Island, Mondays at 9 o'clock Central, 10 o'clock Eastern. Proud sponsor of the Laugh With Me podcast, number 66 on the iTunes chart. Now back to the show. So last week, we talked about the lost episode, the Lavetti Vegas 2-hour conversation that I had with him that he won't let me put it out there because he just said so many different things that he's like, maybe we just hold that back. Well, Lavetti is coming back on the show. We're going to have him on next week. And I promise you, this is my service to the people. I'm going to ask him. I'm going to ask him why. I will. I am. I'm going to do it for you people. But there's the old saying, I'm in the podcast studio here, and it's if these walls could talk, what would it say about that conversation with Lavetti Vegas? People always say that if these walls could talk. I don't know. I don't really care what the walls would have to say. If you want the real deal, if you want the real nitty gritty, I want to know what my toilets had to say. I know for a fact that my toilet has seen some shit. I mean, you know how many assholes they see every single day? That's who I'd want to hear from. I want to hear from the toilet. I want to know what people are dealing with. For real. Yeah, if you ever want to find out what someone's really dealing with, what are they shitting? What color is it? What kind of texture is it? What kind of form is it? Is it solid? Is it liquid? You can tell a lot about a person from what they're flushing. That's for damn sure. Yeah, if these walls could talk. No. You want the real story? You hit the toilets. You find out what's going on in there. No one thinks about that. No one's going to the toilet to ask the true questions. But that's what we do here on Laugh With Me. Honestly, I think the more we do that, the higher we're probably going to climb on these iTunes charts. I guarantee you, I start asking, more toilet questions, get some more toilet humor in here, and we're certainly going to go from 66 to at least, 57th? Or we could easily be the 57th best charted podcast on iTunes if I'm bringing out toilet humor, in my humble opinion. Speaking of the bathroom, though, I don't know if any of you using that, I call it, this one's for the fellas. I call it the ball sack underwear. It's the underwear that has like the pocket in front for, the whole deal. If you haven't tried on a pair of this underwear, if you're just, wearing the old school boxers or you're wearing the old school briefs, I mean, you're just not getting the shape that you could have. They're fantastic. I mean, it looks great. It's comfortable. But frankly, it's like performance-enhancing drugs for your junk. I mean, it just is. I mean, the bulge. 10x. You wear the ball sack underwear, and it's a 10x as far as like the look. It's incredible. I don't know if you guys are. If you're interested in that kind of thing, I certainly would recommend trying out a pair of the ball sack underwear. If you go to you can get it anywhere. I've gotten some at Target before. Shields has like an entire wall of ball sack underwear, and they have different designs. I've seen a shrimp drinking a cocktail on a pair of those before. That would be a fun one to wear. There's spicy Cheetos. The spicy Cheetos. They're not like, I don't think they taste like it, but they have like the logo in the bag of the spicy Cheetos. So people, you'd have to be really into some food or drinks to wear underwear, talking about it. Unless it was like a scratch and sniff note, where it could like taste like it or smell like it. But that would be different. That would be pretty cool. Not only would your be bulging, be banging, you'd also smell like spicy hot Cheetos. That would be cool. Unless you picked up like one with like garlic on it and then like have an itch on your leg and then suddenly reek of garlic. That would suck. Keep the vampires away though. I don't know. Something to think about. Something to think about. So yeah, I was talking earlier about you always have those coworkers that are just like, they're like the first to complain, but they're the last ones they should be. Because they're as guilty as anybody else of calling in sick to work or just trying to get out of work when they're there. Man, I had this coworker. He was so desperate to get out of work that he crushed his hand in between two pallets. There was a whole stack of those like big wooden pallets, takes his hand, lifts up a pallet, puts his hand under one, and then just smashes it. Because he was looking to get hurt, right? He was like, I'm gonna hurt my hand. I can't be working if my hand's hurt. He wasn't trying to break his hand, but he was just trying to like get out of work, right? So he crushes his hand, screams out, Immediately goes to a manager and it's like, oh, I crushed my hand. Oh my God, pallet fell on my hand. And it's like, how's a pallet just falling on people's hands? I mean, you have to have a whole story for it, right? Well, he did. Well, he ended up doing some damage to his hand, and he had to go to the doctor. Goes to the doctor, right? They do x-rays, they do blood tests on him, because you have to do blood tests because you're getting injured at work. I mean, it's 2024. If you get hurt at work, you're getting tested. Anyway, turns out this guy has cancer. He didn't even know it. Yeah. Who knew you could get cancer at work? Like, be careful out there. It's not, it's real. Like, don't, all safety precautions out there, guys. Team lift with those pallets. You don't want to be getting cancer. I have a storied history with the Crohn's disease, as some of you guys know. And, I just brought up a little bit earlier about my toilet humor. And you know what? I think we should continue the toilet humor, because that's what's going to get us charting to at least 57 on the iTunes charts. The thing is, with Crohn's disease, sometimes, sometimes, things are just happening, and you need some of that relief. Basically, I'm talking about farts, guys, and sometimes it's not the appropriate place to do it. Sometimes you just have to. Like, it's painful. Sometimes it just kind of sneaks out, So when you're at the grocery store, especially if you frequent there 5 days a week, sometimes 6. So then you have to be strategic on the places that you do, let them slip out or let them go. So that way it makes sense. You can't just be walking around there farting all day, unless you have the ball sack underwear that maybe, it was like joke. Maybe it was like prank ball sack underwear. You got the bulge. It looks great, but then you scratch it and then it smells like farts. That would be cool. Anyway, I was thinking one of the best places to fart at the grocery store might be near the specialty cheese area. Some of that cheese stinks anyway. And then it would just kind of mask, it would have to mask it. It would, or at least would blend in my opinion. I haven't tried this. I'm just putting it out there right now. I have not tried this. I've just been thinking about it a lot lately. People will just think that cheese is aged perfectly. Why not? One place you wouldn't want to do it, unless, again, you're pranking people, is in the frozen department. They have the doors. Those doors are sealed pretty good to keep the cold air in there. Open that door, let one rip, and close it real quick. Man, that next time somebody opens that door trying to buy a box of grape Uncrustables, they're going to get a big old whiff of that smelly ass, and that's not cool. Don't do that unless you're pranking a friend or something. I mean, that's just don't, you know what? Just don't do that. How about that? So I'll tell you what, if I'm stocking at the grocery store and I open up a frozen door and get a big old taste of burning trash farts, I'm looking for somebody that listens on iTunes. I'm just telling you that right now. It's a lot of you. Speaking of iTunes, I was a victim of a hate crime. Yeah. Somebody wrote a 1-star review. Gave us a 1-star review on iTunes. Because they hated it. That's some bullshit. But you know what? Honestly, that's part of the game. If you're going to be charting, 66 in the United States and comedy stand-up podcasts on iTunes, I mean, that's part of it. Not everyone's going to love you. You're going to be, you're going to have some haters out there. And I've got one. So, I don't know. Maybe more toilet humor will be the key to bringing them on the good side. Get that up to a 5-star, baby. Now, this is a true science that has been proven. You can Google it after you listen to the show, during you listen to the show. I don't care what you do while you listen to the show. But on average, a person will eat a pound of spiders in their lifetime while sleeping. How nuts is that? A pound of spiders. It got me thinking, that's probably why people in Australia are a little more like muscular than we are here in the States. I mean, they probably eat some big ass spiders in the middle of the night. You know, those huntsmen just crawling into your mouth. Can you imagine waking up and it looks like a big old crab leg sticking out of your mouth? Ugh. How many pounds of boogers do you think somebody eats in their lifetime? And I'm not thinking like the people who are picking, and then, giving it a taste, see what's up. No, I'm talking about just like on accident. Because you've got sometimes those little flakes, little boogers that are just in there. Maybe you've blown your nose or you sneezed, or maybe, I don't know, maybe you're just dirty. You got them little boogers in your nose. And then they just kind of fall out when you're talking. And anybody who says, oh, no, I don't do that, I got the cleanest nose that you've ever seen. No, you don't. Everybody has this problem. Like, everybody has the boogers in their nose. It's a thing, okay? I will prove it if I have to, if anybody tries to challenge me on this. But I'm telling you right now, everybody's got the boogers. What I'm saying is, how many times do you think you're leaning over your food and a little teeny tiny flake or a little booger comes out, gives a little extra taste, and it falls in, you don't even know it? How many pounds of boogers are you eating in your lifetime? Enough with the spiders. We know about the spiders. It's about a pound in your lifetime, about 8 spiders a year, from what I've heard. I want more science behind the boogers. I'd like to know. And, I'd love to be able to say, I'm just going to trust my gut on this one and say it's probably not much for booger eating, right? But when you're me and you've got Crohn's disease, I can't trust my gut, guys. I just can't. I've got poor gut health. The last thing I'm going to do is trust my gut in this situation. It's going to be an uncensored, explosive episode next week. Lavetti Vegas, he is on his Dangerously Diabetic tour. One of the stops is to here in the Deal or No Deal Island Studios. It's going to be awesome. Laugh with me with Lavetti Vegas next week. Make sure you subscribe so it just automatically downloads. If you're listening on iTunes, thank you so much. If you're listening on Spotify, I also love you. Let's get some more people doing that so we can chart on Spotify as well. Just saying, iTunes is kicking your ass. If you found us on YouTube, you're one of the few, because we haven't officially launched the show on YouTube yet, but all of the old episodes and the current ones that are coming out are actually on YouTube. But remember, season 2, we're bringing the heat to YouTube, and it's going to be a lot of fun with the pictures, and hopefully by then I'll have my nose cleared out, so that way you don't get to see them boogers in 4K. That would be embarrassing. Next week, Lavetti Vegas. This is Laugh With Me, podcast with Jeremy Odom, number 66 on iTunes.